Hello there, good morning to you. This is Kakaaki Social. I'm Obozeghie. Welcome to Wednesday's edition. Now, a few minutes after the commencement of plenary on Tuesday, the Senate hurriedly went into a closed session to resolve perceived disagreement between the Senate Chief Whip Ndume and the President of the Senate, Akpabio. Trouble started when Ndume, who represents APC Borno South, raised the point of order on alleged errors committed and not corrected by Akpabio. And according to Ndume, Akpabio ruled for a debate by Senator Sumaila Kawu on the need for the reopening of Nigeria-Niger border without stating or reading the title of his motion. Apparently, Ndume, while addressing the Senate president, asked him to correct himself and revisit the ruling, which was done in error. Akpabio quickly interrupted Ndume and ruled him out of order. And so maybe the interruption made Ndume angry before he packed his document and furiously left the chamber yesterday. So that was the update yesterday at the Senate. How did this meet netizens on the social media space? In reaction, the Truth says Ali Ndume has no respect for Senate President Akpabio. It's not today. Ndume has the belief that a Northerner should have been the Senate president. Well, it will be hard for him to form a caucus against a very politically smart Akpabio. Also in reaction, Tony says Akpabio is gradually becoming an embarrassment to the Red Chambers. Yet, he has loads of pending cases with EFCC just because Nigeria is what it is. For D, it says Ndume had been a better Senate president. At it stands now, this assembly is not different from when Lawan was Senate president. They've turned the Senate to another arm of the executive. And also sharing his thoughts is Chijoke Ike, who says, I expect to be seeing more of this from other senators. Unfortunately, there are no specifics on what actually triggered this fight. And to another story, and the Labour Party. It be like say Labour Party don't wait, so they don't lose weight. That then they had to reach out to their lawmakers after they did not rebuke the plan to acquire 160 million naira SUVs for each of them. So the party has written to them. Now, for the legislators from the Labour Party, they've been advised to kick against the waste, as they put it, as that's the only way Nigerians can indeed breathe. The party is also wondering why not fund manufacturing instead of using taxpayers' 58 billion naira to sponsor the extravagant lifestyle of a few at a time when the country goes about borrowing. So, let's see a part of that press release yesterday, as you would find on their website. It says, how else can any government justify the bloated Federal Executive Council of 48 cabinet ministers, with each of them giving 3 luxurious 4-wheel drive vehicles on the first day in office, paid for and fueled by taxpayers? This is notwithstanding hundreds of presidential and ministerial aids, as well as numerous aids to the aides, which are being funded by the government. So to the real deal, he said, we are also calling on the Labour Party legislators in the 10th Assembly to kick against this unnecessary wastage of resources in line with the ideology of the party, which is social justice and equal opportunity for all. Nigerians would hold them responsible if they fail to live above board or give proper account of the electoral investment reposed in them. So that was it yesterday, partly in their statement. So Toby says, I'm so disappointed at the Labour Party lawmakers. They are as corrupt as the APC lawmakers. No outrage from so-called lawmakers who rode on a mantra of good governance of the obedience movement to office with this kind of public fund extravaganza. Now I know everyone is just fighting to go eat off the cake. Also in reaction, MOB says most of them only ride on the popularity of Peter Obi, no concrete political adhesion. Labour Party needs to speak up. And also reaction, Obozeghie says, you all expected them to reject it. It's impossible now. change them next election and the new ones would reject it. The problem is one Nigeria. One day we will all face reality. And also reaction said, Castle says, if the Labour Party reps reject the cars in solidarity, then I know this political party is serious. Else, make nobody disturb my peace by 2027. All right, then, the Labour Party has a lot on the program today because they trended all through yesterday because it's been a debate between Arabambi and Unisa Tanko of the Labour Party on credential authenticity of the peoples of the party's presidential candidate in the 2023 election, that's Peter Obi. While Arambabi of the Apapa-led faction, if that exists, claims that they noticed the discrepancy the first time they got hold of Peter Obi's certificate, but they had to let go because they were pressed for time. UNISA maintains that Obi isn't impersonating his late elder brother, as been speculated on the social media space by the other arm of the party. So let's begin with the Apapa group. This is them saying that, what year did this Peter Obi's elder brother die? What was the name on the secondary school certificate and University of Nigeria Nsukka certificate? What is the nature of the business of his brother? Where is Peter Obi's birth certificate? What was the name on Peter Obi's birth certificate? More questions. It says, why is it that the name on his birth certificate is different from the name on his school certificate? Why is the name on his school certificate different from the one written on his UNN certificate? Which university mobilized Peter Obi for his mandatory one-year NYSC? Why is the name on his NYSC certificate different from the name on his University of Nigeria Nsukka certificate? Many questions there. From UNISA, that's the Abure group, it says that in one of his pieces of fiction, the claim that Obi was impersonating his dead senior brother, a farce, slapstick comedy from hell. Obi's most senior brother is alive. One of his senior brothers who died was in the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, UNN, years ahead of Obi, and read computer science while Obi read philosophy. And then he continued, as they go about using the name of the party, none has said anything positive about Peter Obi as the presidential candidate of the party they claim. That speaks volumes. Instead, they have even been more vociferous against Peter Obi than their sponsors, yet they claim they are of the Labour Party. How did this meet netizens? Mara says, how political party go they fight their own presidential candidates where they do well? No be there you go no say na people where conde their pockets, they run them. Also in reaction, Pura says, this is good. Let every leader, including Tinubu and Atiku, make their documents public. We must stop venerating evil in Nigeria. Even though it is the APC's wing of the Labour Party that is calling for this, I think it is very healthy for Nigeria. EJ says, we now know that submitting documents to INEC and sleeping them online are no guarantees to the authenticity of document. Every candidate should present verifiable document. Let them explain satisfactorily where discrepancies exist. And for recommendation, Omoe Iya teacher says, and as a matter of urgency, a law must be enacted to mandate INEC, EFCC, ICPC, etc. to always verify the authenticity of all the certificates of political office holders, starting from the president down to the list. And any discrepancy found during the process should be published in the National Daily, and the culprit, that's the politician, etc., should be disqualified and sentenced to jail. And yes, to our final story, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has officially launched the Renewed Hope Conditional Cash Transfer Program to cushion the effects of fuel subsidy removal for vulnerable persons in Nigeria. Now, 15 million households, which will be beneficiaries according to the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Better Edu, represents 62 million Nigerians. And at the end of the intervention, each beneficiary beneficiary would have gotten 75,000 naira. That's 25,000 naira for 3 months, and 1.125 trillion naira would be the total cost for the 15 million households. Now, she also tells us that the federal government will, after now, provide low-cost shelter for the poor and internally displaced persons as a form of providing cover for them. 2 reactions, and then we call it a day. Engineer Demola says, while I may not be particularly enthusiastic about programs like this, I can only extend my best wishes to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and hope that she can bring about a positive change. We are all aware of how these initiatives unfolded in the past administrations, with numerous loopholes in the system and concerns about whether the funds will truly reach those they are intended for. And finally, Chuk says, anything cash is not traceable and prone to corruption. 15 million households is equivalent to 75 million people if an average family had 3 kids. It should mean that 1 out of every 3 Nigerians should be impacted. So you can look around you to see if you know any beneficiary. Well, so that's it on Kakaaki Social today. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Good morning, Adora Nunkoli.
Good morning, Rana. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Well, I think they are asking quite germane questions. How do you know who the beneficiaries are? How do you know who gets the money? I mean, the ones we see on TV, nice, you know, but in terms of the mapping of the families, that's a good question to ask.
Definitely, because if the last math solved by the last response, about 75 million of them, that's large enough. That's almost about half of our population. So it's not too small to be noticeable. So we're not expecting anyone to say, oh, because they were from the poorest of the poorest families, that's why you did not know. So 75 million is a large number, and we should at least know someone that knows someone.
There should be evidence.
Yes. Unlike the, what did Dosibanjo call it the other time?
The
trader money.
The trader money and the Empower program.
And listening to someone who said he was called, and then he had to involve the police to be able to go and get the money, you know, believing that he doesn't know whether it's a scam or it is real. That's another challenge altogether. With that kind of call that will come and you don't know exactly where it is coming from. People have been receiving
messages that the Renewed Hope mandate, call this number to get your 69,000 naira.
I just hope those scammers will not, you know, get into that and start scamming people.